Well, imagine you have kissed a frog and he grants you one wish. One wish to cure one of the ails of mankind. Which one would you choose? Hunger? Illness? War? Well, of course, the problem is if you choose hunger, there will still be illness. And if you choose illness, there will still be war. Well, if I had one wish, I would choose to cure demotivation. With a magic tool that allows me to motivate people whenever I need, I could motivate everyone to solve the most pressing problems of mankind. And we'd always have the maximum energy for it. Well, of course, there is no frog, no magic to cure demotivation. But there is a new model that helps us understand the reasons for demotivation. And it's much easier to find a cure once we know exactly why we're sometimes demotivated. Well, the new model is pretty straightforward and easy to apply. Let me ask you some questions to demonstrate. What do you associate with the term head? Well, you may think of eyes, nose and ears, but most people also associate head with rational thinking, reason, what we find important. Now, what do you associate with heart? Well, most people associate heart with emotions, feelings, perhaps intuition. And what comes to your mind when you see this little illustration? Head and heart. Well, you may think of balance, or quite the contrary, conflict. And some people think of a decision, the need for a decision. Now, this is pretty much what we find in our research at the TUM School of Management. Here, head is associated with our goals and values, our so-called cognitive preferences, so what we find important. And heart is associated with our unconscious motives that lead to affective preferences, what we really like. We also find that the overlap section is associated with harmony and well-being. But what if the two circles don't align? What if either heart?
When I showed up to the gym, preparing for greatness, this thing called life. I'm not talking strength training, every day's had up and downs. When you facing situations, the one that overcomes, the one with determination. This is a game of angles, heart and commitment. Wanna make it through the race, gotta work on your conditioning. If you master self-control, then you got the golden ticket. Where are our leaders? Like we going into extension. Peter Piper, Pig, Peppers, then we can pave the way. Jack and Jill went up the hill, but they went up there to play. Use my voice for a change, and that's where we separate. And my flow is so official, thought I was a referee. Let's go. First down, working with a fresh start. If you give me the ball, I can get us some yards. I can break a couple tackles too. Get me down as hard as work can be a better place, but we all play a part. Let's go.
Or head are left out. Well, research has shown that discrepancies between head and heart reduce our well-being, they lead to stress and burnout, and they make it harder to reach our goals. In fact, even if you reach the goals...
First down, working with a fresh start. If you give me the ball, I can get us some yards. I can break a couple tackles to get me down as hard as work can be a better place, but we all play a part. Let's go.
That are not supported by your heart, this may not lead to happiness. It's more like, so what? I've ticked that box, what's the next goal? And if you do that for 20 years, pursuing goals that have nothing to do with you, you may come to the stage where you say to your partner, honey, I'm just going to buy a pack of cigarettes, and off you go, and you'll never be seen again. So how do we deal with discrepancies between head and heart? Well, this leads to another facet of the model, willpower. Well, I guess you're all familiar with the term willpower, but what exactly is it? When do we need willpower?
December 19th, I was born, man, I'm a star. Continue my improvement, I know we can make it far. They said I wouldn't make it, but I knew in my heart. I stay late after practice, I got home after dark. Rub, start iron out the wrinkles and keep pounding. Enjoy every moment, cause sometimes it get cloudy. Weather's tricky everywhere, not just in the Carolinas. When you looking for the strength, just know that it's inside you. Each one, recipe for understanding the outcome of the game. It depends on your decisions. When I grab the microphone, leave a lasting impression. Every time I grab a pen, deliver with precision. Let's go. 2 2-minute drill, catch the ball and stop the clock. It take everything we got, cause we started from the one. We can score the touchdown, we just gotta hurry up. If motivation was a drink, then my flow can fill your cup, let's go.
And when don't we need willpower? Can you think of an example? Most people would say you need willpower the moment things get difficult, when I struggle, when I have to do something that I don't like. But I don't need willpower when I have to do something that I like.
2-minute drill, catch the ball and stop the clock. It take everything we got, cause we started from the one. We can score the touchdown, we just gotta hurry up. If motivation was a drink, then my flow can fill your cup, let's go.
So you could even say you need willpower the moment your motivation stops. A lot of willpower is needed for big tasks. For example, a marathon, especially if you have to get through the last few kilometers. So how does this relate to the head and heart model? Well, willpower is needed here, head but not heart. Something is important to me, but it's not pleasurable. Think of doing the dishes, pumping up your bicycle tire, overtime work. These things are important, but they're not fun. Exerting willpower can mean using positive fantasies. For example, how good will I or others feel when the bike runs well again, when the work's being done? I call this willpower type 1. Now type 2 willpower is needed here, in this sector, heart but not head. So something has our emotional support, but it's not aligned to our cognitive preferences. You may experience this as a temptation. For example, spending excessive time on the internet, smoking cigarettes, cheating on your partner. Willpower is needed here, for example, by using negative fantasies. What if I don't get the work done on time because I wasted it on the internet? What if my partner found out about the infidelity? No willpower is needed here in the overlap sector because there is no internal conflict. Now, is willpower the magical weapon, the magic that allows us to overcome all sorts of internal conflict? If this was the case, we could basically ignore all discrepancies between head and heart and always use the sheer force of our willpower. Well, unfortunately, this is not the case. Research has shown that willpower can be ineffective. Think of the difficulties to stick to a diet or to stop smoking. It is strenuous and unpleasant. Well, it's not fun to not eat a tempting chocolate cake. And it's a resource, just like money, that can be used up. Let me illustrate this with an example from our research. We created a conflict between head and heart, and the idea was that dealing with this conflict would require willpower. And this willpower would then be lacking for other subsequent tasks. We selected participants with a low power motive who do not like to influence and control other people. And we asked these people to play the role of a very strict father who overly controls his son. No, you must not play this theater group. Oh, please, Daddy. I said no. We thought that people with a low power motive wouldn't like their task. They would need willpower to play the strict father. After the role play, we gave our participants a second.
Control is essential, not a dry in the house. Pass around a box of tissue. Effort and success are two things that's complemented. Silver spoon is a myth, opportunities presented. It's all in your intentions, it form your reality. When I sit down and think, I recall the tragedies. We was the laughing stock, now we the team to beat. My flow would be so high, I can sign with Texas Pete. Never give up in the race, even when I was lethargic. Some knew I had to give, but to some it was shocking. Got a good game plan, like we played for the Rockets. I don't hold back anything, and that's on every project. Let's go. Analytics, this my MVP season. They be hating all the time, and it's really not needed. Gotta see it in yourself, only way we can achieve it. We went undrafted, and it's so hard to believe it. Let's go.
Self-control task. They had to keep a straight face while watching a very funny movie. And those with a low power motive, they cracked up laughing. So you see that discrepancies between head and heart can or require willpower, and this willpower.
Analytics, this my MVP season. They be hating all the time, and it's really not needed. Gotta see it in yourself, only way we can achieve it. We went undrafted, and it's so hard to believe it. Let's go.
Is then lacking for other tasks. Some researchers have come up with the idea with a metaphor of willpower as muscle. The idea being that just as a muscle that is used up by training, you can use up your willpower. So discrepancies between head and heart require willpower, and this willpower can then be lacking for other tasks. Now, what if there is an overlap between head and heart? In other words, our cognitive preferences are aligned with our affective preferences. Well, this is the zone of our intrinsic motivation.
Stomp in the mud, that was just to make it home. When you walking in the flood, you just gotta carry on. We were jumping over hurdles like my cousin Ramon. Just remember, every action don't deserve a response. In the valley of the shadows, keep your chin up and stay humble. You can make it to the top, like a cookie, it'll crumble. Be prepared for anything, whatever's around the corner. Grab a paintbrush, every day you paint a portrait. It takes extreme focus, just know that you're capable. Don't be afraid to fail, it might take a time or two. That's where you learn your lessons to make it attainable. We lose feeling in our feet, cause we running from the truth. Let's go, crank it up, send this thing to overtime. Crank it up, no, we not slowing down. Crank it up, it's our chance to make it out. Crank it up, let them know what we about, let's go.
And I guess most of you are familiar with the concept of intrinsic motivation. We are intrinsically motivated when we do something for the sake of doing it, because we like it. Well, here in this sector is our extrinsic motivation.
Crank it up, send this thing to overtime. Crank it up, no, we not slowing down. Crank it up, this our chance to make it out. Crank it up, let them know what we about, let's go.
Something is important to us. Perhaps we expect a big reward, but it's not pleasurable, it's not supported by our emotions. And as stated, we need willpower whenever we are extrinsically motivated. Now here in this sector, heart but not head. So something has our emotional support, but it's not aligned to our cognitive preferences, to our goals. So there is the potential for intrinsic motivation, but we try to suppress it. Think of spending excessive time on the internet, cheating on your partner, you name it. Okay, so this is basically what we need to know about head and heart. But there is a third component to our motivation that is also pretty important and shouldn't be neglected. Imagine the following scene. A guy is playing tennis, he seems highly motivated, so head and heart is not an issue here, but he misses the ball. He likes what he does, he finds it important, but he keeps missing the ball. What is this tennis player lacking? Exactly, skills and abilities. So we need to add a third circle to the model, and to be consistent, I call it hand. Hand is also a metaphor, it stands for our skills, abilities, experiences, action-related knowledge. Head, heart and hand. Well, this is actually quite an old triad. It goes back to Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi, a famous Swiss educator in the early 19th century. But of course, the comprehensive model is new. I call it the 3C model, the 3 components of motivation. The 3C model suggests that ideally all 3 components are fulfilled. But what can we expect if this is the case? What is the optimal motivation?